Welcome back to Impact on a Tuesday morning, on a very warm Tuesday. Hope you're staying cool with the heat warning in effect. Russell Thomas in the studio today with my good friend Hanna Fridhed. Good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome back to the studio.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Have you been on that side of the mic? Yeah, I interviewed you months after the fire, I think.
Yeah, I believe it was the first interview back after the fire, so pretty much exactly 2 years ago.
You're like a veteran.
Haha.
So Hanna wears...
Are you calling me old?
No. Compared to me, you're practically an infant. Hanna wears a lot of hats in the community. She's an actor. She works for Oraki. Her list of activities is long and interesting. But today, we're going to talk to you from your vantage point as a member of the Alberta Drama Festival Association Board of Directors.
Yes.
Isn't that sounded very formal?
It's quite a mouthful.
You have a big event this weekend that, because you're the local representative, you're hosting the Provincial One-Act Play Festival.
Exactly.
First time here in 10 years, you said.
Yep, the last time was 2008, and actually you were involved back then too.
I believe I was you 10
Yes.
years. I was you 10 years ago. That math probably works really well.
Yeah.
So it was 10 years ago. A bit of history. I'm not sure if you know this. The reason we ended up with that was they reached out to us. They were looking for some place and they wanted an excuse to come to Fort McMurray. And they said, would you be interested in starting a one-act play festival up there?
Really?
And maybe you could host the Provincials. And we went, okay. And that ended up leading to what we know today as winter play. Because that first year it was sort of the regional competition that you guys now have was winter play. It was hot acts, cool plays, and look, here you are 10 years later, and the Provincials are coming back.
They are finally coming back. We were supposed to host the Provincials in 2016 at the end of May.
Oh, were you?
It was delayed a little bit.
A little.
A little bit. So we're finally back in 2018. We have 7 award-winning plays coming up from all across Alberta. Over a 2-day period.
Talk to the listener that knows nothing about the one-act play concept and how these plays that are coming here from all over Alberta, how do they end up coming to a provincial competition?
Well, there's 10 regions across Alberta that host regional festivals with the community one-act plays for adults, or by adults, not necessarily for adults, but by adults. So it's all happy amateurs wanting to do theater. And this is pretty much a playground to be able to explore theater in a new way. It doesn't have to be a huge production. It doesn't have to be a ton of people involved. It can be you and a friend. It can be a one-man show. It can be a bigger production if you wanted to. It can be anything from drama, or as this year from the north, we have an original clown piece, which is really exciting. Anything from comedies. I'm hoping for one day see a musical, but nothing this year.
Now, my understanding is there are certain limitations that you have to abide by to even have your play qualify. Can you just run through a few of those things? Can't be this long, this short. What are those parameters?
Exactly. It has to be between 10 minutes and an hour. Those are the time restrictions. You have 10 minutes to set up your play. And you have 5 minutes to strike, which is basically clear the stage after you're done. Everybody has to be a community artist. We can't have professionals come in. So if you're part of a union, you can't be a part of the festival, unfortunately, just to keep it somewhat level. We also have an adjudicator, a professional theater artist that comes in and adjudicates the pieces. It's not coming in saying that was bad or that was horrible. It's someone coming in giving feedback, asking questions, making sure that you get something other than just performing from the festivals, actually developing community artists.
How many years have you been involved in the one-acts?
3 years. This is my 3rd year.
Have you performed or have you always directed?
Always just directed.
Okay.
Yeah.
That first year, what was the first show that you did? Do you remember?
Actually, the first one act that I was involved in, I didn't direct a piece.
What did you do?
I was just the representative.
Oh, okay. You were a volunteer on the board.
Exactly.
And then the following year, you directed a piece that did it end up going to provincials as well?
What was 2 eggs.
2 eggs.
Yeah, it was a funny little 10-minute comedy piece about a lady whose very strange neighbor comes up to borrow eggs. And it turns out he has several personalities. that all come out within these 10 minutes. So it was a lot of fun.
Heather and I and Ben managed to watch some one acts when we were visiting Canmore a couple of months ago. And it was really great. It was a lovely evening out. However, after seeing your regionals, there is somewhat of a quality difference. Is that your observation? Like the quality of work that happens here is really good.
It's really, really good. Fort McMurray actually has a great history within the ADFA provincials of winning a lot of awards. That's part of the adjudicator's job, to hand out several awards at the end. And Fort McMurray usually performs very well. And a lot of people are surprised by the quality of our productions.
Why do you think that is? Any ideas?
I find that with Fort McMurray in general, the people who come here are dedicated, they want to develop, and they work really, really hard. Same goes for the theater community.
What's the difference between going through a process of preparing a one act and delivering it compared to a full-blown production at Keanu Theatre as an example?
Well, one of the largest differences is the time commitment. Keanu, you spend a lot of time rehearsing, learning your lines, being on stage. For one act, you can set your own schedule. You decide how much time and effort you want to put into it, and as well as who you want to be involved. And you also end up doing a lot of the things yourself. Like, you don't have a team behind you, someone who takes care of costumes, someone who comes in with the lighting design, but the little group that does it, either it's by yourself, or if you have, like, I've been very lucky to work with some are really close friends as stage managers or actors, but we have to do it ourselves. The costumes, we'll find them, we'll make them. The set pieces, we'll find them, we'll make them, we'll build them. The rehearsal schedule, very often you're rehearsing in your living room. Cats be damned.
When you think about the role that the One Act Play Festival provincially plays, and all of a sudden you have a bunch of people maybe that have never been to Fort McMurray coming here for the provincials, what's the value to the province and the sort of the provincial theater scene in your view?
Well, a lot of people has never even been here, and even more people that I encounter when I talk about theater in the province. I'm on the board of Theatre Alberta, and there's many that don't even realize the quality of arts we have up here, the arts community as a whole. So I see it as a great opportunity to actually connect those dots. We're inviting the participants on a tour of Keanu Theatre and Arts Centre, as well as a workshop in the afternoon, and making sure that they know that we have the gallery. We have several different art spaces in town. There's a lot of restaurants, a lot of exhibits, parks, all these things, and really opening people's eyes that there's more to Fort McMurray than just, oh, well, you guys got the bitumen up there, ain't ya? Sure we do, but we have so much more.
Our guest this morning, Hanna Fridhed. Hanna is the regional representative on the Alberta Drama Festival Association board. She is, I guess, one of the key organizers of the Provincial One Act Play Festival that's happening Friday night, Saturday afternoon. There's a matinee, and then Saturday evening. This is a chance for you to see one act plays from all over Alberta. So you said 7 plays in total.
7 plays in total.
So we got 6 other communities or regions that are traveling up in the next few days. And a real mix, I'm imagining.
It is quite the mix.
So a lot of entertainment. How does it work in terms of getting tickets, cost, and that sort of thing?
Well, you can get there are 3 show times. Each show time has, or Friday night's 3 shows, matinee is 2 shows, and Saturday night is 2 shows. The Saturday 2 showtimes, and Saturday has 2 longer plays each. For each of these showtimes, you can get individual tickets for $25. You can also get a festival pass, which is all 3 showtimes for $50.
It's a good deal.
Yeah, and make sure you check it out because tickets are going to go fast.
Yeah. If the success that you had for your regional is any indication, because you had almost a full house.
Yeah.
We're going to take a break and come back, and I want to talk about the show that won the regional competition, and will be representing us this coming weekend. But first, we need to take a break. You're listening to Impact. It's a team effort of United Way, Fuse Social, Shaw TV, Fort McMurray, YMM Magazine, and 91.1 The Bridge. Welcome back to the show, Talking Theatre this morning with Hanna Fridhed, who is representing the Alberta Drama Festival Association, but she's also on the board of Theatre Alberta, if I heard you correctly.
Yep.
We're like twins. You're living the life I lived 10 years ago. She works at Oraki during the day, very involved in the community. Most recently, she starred in the Keanu Theatre play of Nurse Jane Goes to Hawaii. And I think I sent you a private note that it was probably the favorite thing I've ever seen you do.
Thank you.
Was hysterically funny. And JD was teasing the audience a little bit that you had a little bit of a surprise. Was it opening night?
It was preview night, actually.
Okay, what happened?
Well, I wasn't expecting really any of my friends to show up on preview night because they usually come on opening. So after the show, I could tell that there was a lot of people waiting outside the backstage area. I didn't quite know why. I was excited to see them. A little perplexed. But as I walk out, they tell me they're sorry they didn't get me flowers. They got me something else. And from around the corner walks my brother.
Wow.
He flew in from Sweden to come and see my show, and I had no idea. Oh, I'm tearing up. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So what happened that night? Like, how did you react?
There's a video on Facebook that made the rounds, and that was basically me for the next week.
Wow.
Jumping in place, squeeing, and crying a little bit.
That's a huge deal to surprise you like that. And it was your brother's first time in Canada, let alone Fort McMurray.
Exactly. He's never been here. We've been to America before, but never to Canada. But I've always had this dream that one day someone in my family would actually be able to see me in a Keanu show. Because I've been in a few now, and I'm really proud of the work. But no one from home has ever seen one. So it was always a bit of a dream of mine for someone to come here and actually surprise me. And my friends made that happen.
Well, and what a perfect show to have that happen. I'm sure he was incredibly proud. Yeah, what a great show. Speaking of great shows, you had the Regional One Act Play Festival. It feels like 4 or 5 weeks ago now.
It was actually more. It was 2 months ago.
Holy moly, time flies. And some great shows. All of them were really good. But tell us about the show that won.
The show that won is called Muda and Tula Go Camping. It's written, directed, and featuring Patty Dwyer and Justin Shaw. So 2 well-known, very talented local theater artists. And it's an original clown piece. They wanted to get together. I know Patty has worked with clowning before. Justin has been interested in it before and wanting to see what it's all about. So they got together to do this collaboration. And it's this really fun, innocent, beautiful little piece about 2 clown friends, Muda and Tula, that decide to go camping. And it has everything from marshmallows to dragons to scary nighttime sounds. It's very fun.
There's a lot of good things about it. One of the things that struck me was their use of interesting props scattered all over the stage. And were there marshmallows that got thrown into the audience as well at some point?
Yep, there was.
Yeah.
There was.
It really is a remarkable piece. And I think, based on my experience with the One Acts, when you do an original piece, it tends to get more points. I don't know if that's the better word. So it could potentially do quite well this weekend.
I think so. I think it could do very well. From what I've seen of the lineup so far, it looks like it's a very strong field this year.
You've been involved in the theater scene in Fort McMurray since A Christmas Carol, maybe before then. So it's been 3-4 years now. Yeah,
Christmas Carol was my first.
How's it going?
The theater scene in Fort Mac?
In general, yeah.
It's alive and well. There was a little bit of a downturn after the fire, as with everything. But what we're seeing is there is new blood coming in. There is more people getting involved. Like, it's slowly starting to come back. We saw it was a heavy drop-off last year for audience and attendance in general. It was hard to get people to come try out. It was hard to get people in the seats. But it's slowly turning. It really is. Like, we've seen that the comparison from the regionals from last year and the regionals this year, huge difference, both in plays submitted and in people in the audience. We see the engagement go up. There's more people getting in touch with me asking how to get involved and how to volunteer, how to audition. And it's really encouraging.
What role, in your view, does the One Act's process play in nurturing the theater community in Fort McMurray?
It's an opportunity to play, so to speak. It's less serious. It's not about ticket sales. It's not about a huge show and dance. It's your opportunity to explore your art and do passion projects. Find scripts that you've always wanted to do, or a style of theater you always wanted to try. This is where you can try and learn and explore and discover things on your own accord.
And what have you observed when people come into this world? What happens? There's a bit of magic that happens when someone that's not part of that theater world comes in. What have you observed?
A sense of belonging and a new sense of who they are, oftentimes. There's a coming into yourself and being a little more daring, feeling that you have that support to try new things or to be something you didn't thought you could be or wasn't even for you. I've never done theater. I can't do that. I've never. And then they do. And you see that light go on. I didn't know I had this in me. This is so much fun. There's so much more. Yes, there is.
Does it become a springboard to bigger productions like Hanna Theatre Company productions?
I think they work in what's the
tandem?
Yes, in tandem. We see some people trying the piano stage for the first time and then saying, you know what, I don't want to just act, I want to direct something, or I want to try to stage manage. And then the other way around, someone who comes in and volunteers for the One Act say, you know what, this was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I want to try something bigger.
I was talking to a friend of mine who shall remain nameless. However, when this individual was in college in Ontario, they performed the story of their life, a one-act play. And I was encouraging this person, you need to connect with the one-act folks, because what you'll discover is like-minded people that have a passion for creation. So the question is, how do people make that connection if they're listening to this? They have that desire, but they really don't know where to start. Where do you begin?
There's some, if you're on social media, I can definitely recommend getting in touch with me either through the ADFA North Zone Facebook page, or there's actually an open Facebook page called YMM Theatre.
Oh, is there really?
Yep.
I didn't know that.
There's a little over 250 members at this point. Some very active, others mostly just checking out, but most things get posted there when auditions are, when people are looking for volunteers. In general, if they have a project, they have a one act they're working on, anything, really. Or just a couple of times I've seen someone post, hey, I want to get involved. Does anyone need any help with anything, or is something happening?
I was talking to Danny on the show last week, and he was speaking about the fact that in the music community, people come to Fort McMurray from all over the world, and it makes it a really rich scene. And I'm imagining it's the same on the theater side.
There is. We see a lot of different people. I've had the pleasure of working with Gabriel Simon on Drowsy Chaperone.
South Africa.
Yeah. We actually discovered that Swedish and South Afrikaans, it's very similar. So we could speak to each other in different languages that was not English.
That's very cool.
It was having your own spy language.
I love it. Our guest this morning, Hanna Fridhed, she is coordinating a very big event that's happening this weekend, Friday night, Saturday afternoon, and Saturday night. It's the Provincial One Act Play Festival, where companies are coming here from communities. Do you know the names of the communities off the top of your head where some of them are coming from? You said Okotoks was one of them.
Okotoks is one of them. We have Calgary and Edmonton. Mm-hmm. We have Red Deer, Grand Prairie.
And one more.
And one more. Heartlands.
She'll think of it. Okay.
Foothills. I know the names of the regions.
The zones.
Yeah, the zones. I'm worse with the actual city names.
Yeah, so people are piling into vans and cars, and they're going to be heading up the highway. Great entertainment. You know, if you want to get out of the heat, it's going to be a hot week. By Friday, we're all going to need a break in an air-conditioned space. Come out. At least I shouldn't speak too quickly. I hope it's air-conditioned. The show's Friday night, Saturday afternoon, a matinee, and then Saturday evening, and then at the end there's some adjudication that takes place, and you'll find out who the winners are. We're going to come back with more of Impact right after this. Good morning. Welcome back to Impact. Russell with Hanna in the studio this morning talking about theater. You know, I've been listing all the things that Hanna does. She's on the board of the Alberta Drama Festival Association. She's on the board of Theatre Alberta. And the one I forgot was she's also on the board of the Arts Council Wood Buffalo. When do you have time to breathe? Wow.
I don't.
Crazy.
I don't. I have to say, adding 3 Keanu theater shows on top of that and the provincials and the regionals.
Yeah.
I've been a little flat out the past year.
The other thing that people often forget about you is that English is your second language.
Yes.
And as I was preparing for this chat, I always wonder about the mental toll that it takes, that you're having to translate everything on the fly, whether you're on the stage, you're in a board meeting, or you're here on the radio. Is that extra exhausting, or is it just something now that's normal for you?
A little bit of both, actually. It's a little bit exhausting. And when I get tired, it's definitely more taxing. It's harder to find words. A lot of the times you'll see me waving my arms around, going, that word, what's the word? Because words will just disappear and they turn back up in Swedish. And that's not quite what I'm trying to say. It's actually harder trying to translate Canadian customs sometimes.
Oh, I can imagine.
It's interesting.
I'm going to ask you a question. Answer it in Swedish first,
Okay.
just so the audience can hear what Swedish sounds like, and then you can answer it in English. Apart from the surprise visit of your brother, when I ask you what theater moment means the most to you, from the vantage point of being on stage, what comes to mind? Answer it in Swedish first.
Det var fredagsshowen av Nurse Jane när jag hade ett ögonblick av att bara glömma bort att publiken var där.
I completely get it.
Perfect.
Not really. Okay, what did you say?
For the first time ever acting on the Friday night show, the second Friday night show of Nurse Jane Goes to Hawaii, I felt completely and 110% in the moment. I forgot there was an audience. I didn't remember that I was saying lines per se. I didn't really recognize that we were on a stage with actors. It just felt very natural, very in the moment. I was clicked on. I was tuned in, however you will call it. I've heard people talk about it. I know the concept behind it, the theory behind it, but I've actually never felt it before. And then I had a moment of feeling it.
Intoxicating in a way, isn't it?
It really is. It really is. I didn't actually come back to myself, so to speak, until the very end, where my character goes and sits down for a little bit and plays with the ceramic. And then I remember realizing that, oh, right, there's an audience there. Oh, but at this point I was so comfortable with the dialogue, with the people I worked with. I trusted them so wholeheartedly to do exactly what they were supposed to do without it being rehearsed, so to speak.
Yeah, it was. If you missed it, it was an amazing show. Nurse Jane Goes to Hawaii. Comedy is hard.
Comedy's so hard.
It is hard to do well.
It was so much fun and it's so challenging, and I had so many bruises.
It was a very physical play.
Yes, it was.
Yeah. Well, again, this weekend is the Provincial One-Act Play Festival. What time does it start on Friday night? Are we talking a 7 o'clock start?
Yes, I believe it's 7:30 on Friday.
Are you in big theater or in recital theater?
Recital theater.
Okay, so recital theater at Keanu.
Yeah.
And probably through the box office website you can get tickets.
Yeah, the easiest way is actually to contact the box office, because of the festival pass. When you go on to the Keanu webpage, it might look like only the Friday night show is available. There's still tickets for the matinee and the Saturday night show too, but you can only see the Friday night show if you go to the wrong little space. If you go to the calendar, you can see all 3 show times.
It's a rare opportunity. This is the best of community theater in the province of Alberta, coming here from all over the place, and you can take advantage of it. And a mix of comedy, drama, clowning,
comedy, drama, absurd drama, dark comedy. It's a little bit of everything.
Yeah, and you're going to love the entry from Fort McMurray, because Patty and Justin do a remarkable job.
They really do. They bring such joy to that piece.
Hanna, keep up the great work, and thank you for all that you do to encourage and celebrate and champion and share the arts in our community.
Thank you so much, and likewise.
Hanna Fridhed has been my guest. She is the representative on the Alberta Drama Festival Association board, preparing for the Provincial One-Act Play Festival this weekend at the Recital Theatre at the Keano College and Arts Centre. You've been listening to Impact, a team effort of United Way, Fuse Social, Shaw TV, Fort McMurray. Big thanks to Matt. YMM Magazine helps us out as well. And of course, we couldn't do any of it without 91.1 The Bridge.